Hello and welcome back to your art class. We are back this week with another lovely drawing to do. It is midweek for me. I don't know what day it is for you doing this video, but I hope that you've had a nice week regardless. Berlin has been giving us crazy weather. We had a bit of snow the other day. I mean, it's April. We've had sun, we've had cloud, we've had wind, everything. So it's been quite interesting, but the week has flown by. I can't believe it's Wednesday again, but I'm here and I'm ready to deliver a nice drawing for us. I've gone for a more classic style drawing today, which usually I veer away from, but you know what? Sometimes it's good to go back to basics and have a little play, so that's what we're doing today. So I hope that you've got your pen ready or your pencil or whatever you have at home, and let's get on with the drawing. Okay, so as always, I'm going to start, well, not as always, but recently, as always, I'm going to start by doing my border, and for today's drawing I think a nice border like this would work. I've just realised I've picked up the wrong pen. It looks the same as my usual pen for this video, but it's a little bit thinner, so let's see, do I have another one anywhere near? I've got this one. Right, I'm going to use this one. This is a 0.5. Although these Bosner pens, they are good and I use them in my workshops, but they can run a tiny bit if you use water with them too quickly. But anyway, hopefully it will show up better. So we've got a nice thin border with my rotaring 0.2, and this is a 0.5 from Bosner Pigment Liner, in case you're interested. And we are going to start by drawing some triangles. So I'm going to start in the middle of the page, and these are going to be like curved triangles like that without the edge. So just leave them like that, and then we're going to do another one kind of like guitar pucks. Is that what they're called? Picks, guitar picks. Pucks or picks? I don't know. I'm going to do some facing up. This is random. You can do them pretty much any way you want. I'm going to do another one up here, and they can also be different sizes. That's fine. I might do a small one down there, and maybe another one a little bit more narrower, and another one there. Okay, that's what I'm going to start with. Now I'm going to decide on a design to get from point A to point B for each of these shapes. So it can be a little bit different for each of them. So for one, I'm going to do a kind of 1, 2, 3 fan, or what's the word for that? I can't find my words today. Frill, I suppose. For this one, I'm going to do a wibbly wobbly line, and it doesn't have to be straight across. It can go in a little bit or out a little bit. That's quite nice. For this one, maybe I'll do a kind of random line that comes in a little bit like an eggshell that's cracked, and I might repeat that kind of style up here too. Quite nice if it comes in a little bit. This one I'm going to have coming out a little bit, and I'm going to do a more uniform jagged line. This one I'm going to do just 2, so it looks like a little heart. Very random though. This one I'm going to do long, like fingers or like a little ghost or something. Okay, now I'm going to go in and add another layer to each one. So by that I mean I've done the connecting line, however that looks, and I'm going to repeat the same thing but a little bit further down. So it's starting at the same point, and then it doesn't have to be exactly the same, but around the same kind of shape. Do you see? Makes it look like a 3D shape because it looks like this is the inside, which it is. Come back to this one, I'll do again the wobbly line, doesn't need to be exact. This one I'm going in a slightly different order, but that's okay. Like this. With these two that come in, I'm going to have it coming out to create a kind of more open form. And again, just random. Same with this one. Random like that. But do you see how it turns it into a 3D object? With this heart one, I'm going to do more of the same, like that. Okay, and now what I need to do is decide where I want to ground these shapes. So they're not finished, we're going to add more to them. But I'm going to draw a line basically in kind of the middle of my page. It could be lower down, I suppose, or higher up, but I'm going to go for around the middle. And this line is just going to be pretty much a straight line that is about that big. And now I need to finish, I'm going to turn this into a shape. So this is the top of the shape. And then I'm going to bring my lines down either side and I'm going to make them symmetrical. But this is totally up to you. You could add like a really intricate wobbly design, or you could have a really like bauchig, like big belly design, or however you want. So let's have a little think. I'm going to do it coming down here. You can't really see, it has to be behind the shapes that we've already done. So I'm going to imagine it's coming down the same way. And then I'm imagining that it comes out about here and comes around. My pen's been a little bit dry there. So redo that line. And then I'm going to try and mirror this shape on this side. So again, imagining it comes down like here, so it would come down about here, maybe come out around here, pen, and down. Obviously we like it when it's not exact, so it doesn't need to be perfect, but around symmetrical I think would look the best. Okay, and now I'm going to add a few more shapes before I embellish what I've already got further. So I'm going to add a kind of wobbly but vertical big shape like this, a shaft coming out. And then I'm going to do the same thing but coming off to this side and just going behind any shape that we already have. And fitting in this line, so wherever your top line finishes. I have this shape here which kind of distracts from where the top line is, but it does stop around here for me. But if you just had a straight up line with no shapes in the way, you could make sure that the shape that we've just drawn fits onto that line. And then to make it more even, I'm going to add another one, but just a little one, kind of coming out maybe from behind there and folding a little bit away like that. But again, this is your own personal thing. It can look completely different to this. This is just an example of what you can do. So now all of these shapes need to connect somehow, and I'm going to connect them to this line, or going in behind these three shapes that we've just drawn, or in front of them. So I'm going to draw lines that come up and around, and I know that I'm drawing over pen lines that I've already drawn, but I don't care. I don't care. It can come up quite high and then come down like this. This one's going to go behind that shape. Same with this one, it's going to tuck in between there. This one has already got a natural shape I can follow. I might just draw another little line there to make it look like the leaf is a little bit thicker. This one here needs to come like this. And this one, you see, have I added them all up? Yes, I'll show you a little bit closer. So they've each got a line that either goes in front of these leafy shapes that we drew, like these ones here, or comes in behind, tucks in behind them, like that. And if you can't tell what it is yet, then I will tell you, because it might help you. We have drawn a lovely bunch of flowers in a vase. I know, boring. Normally I wouldn't draw this kind of thing, but I thought actually it is quite nice to draw. And it's kind of interesting. It's not like your standard drawing of like a circle with petals around it, because we've got all these different interesting shapes. One thing you could do to make your shapes even more interesting, especially with these ones that are open, is to add a kind of bulb or head in the middle of it, like this. And you could add little lines coming up, suggesting kind of petals, and add lines on the outside as well. I find to just add kind of random lines like that, not necessarily from the base to the top, really detailed lines. I think just little wispy lines looks better sometimes when you're doing this style of drawing. Obviously with these petals here, there's a more obvious place for your line to go. But yeah, just add in a few embellishments. I said it was going to be nice. Relatively simple. I don't know, do you find this kind of thing simple? I find it simple in the fact that like you can do pretty much anything you want to it. You could add a pattern or design, or like I could add interesting little slitty shapes on this one, for example. And you can't really go wrong. You're just kind of decorating what you've already got here. But to some people maybe it is intimidating because the possibilities are endless. But it's kind of fun to just play around. Bit boring maybe, I don't know. Maybe a bit of boring is good sometimes. With this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have things coming out like a lily or something. But it's not a specific flower, it's just I'm making it up in my head. You see? Oh, and this one I forgot to do the second row. So let's do that now. Maybe I'll add the little middle bit in there too. Add random bits. Gosh, and it's already around 12 minutes. So, okay, let's hurry up then. So with these leaves here, I'm just going to add a stem in the middle to make it a little bit more obvious what they are. And then I was going to say you can design your vase. So in my head, I've just got this strong urge to do like a stripy vase. And I want to do it like black and white. I don't know, maybe I've been looking at too many design pictures. Home design, ceramics and stuff. There's a bit of an obsession of mine, I'd say. I think that can look quite cool. And then I'm going to paint it black and white. You could also put in a table in the background, or like a horizon line, as they say, to ground your image. And of course you could do background stuff too, but I'm going to leave it there for now with the drawing and crack on with the painting because I know what I'm like. Got my brushes here, which I never use, but I love very much to make it look nicer. But I'm going to grab my big brush here. I have my watercolours here, and let's get going. I'm going to do a first layer, of pink. Oof, what colour theme, Ness? We're going to go pink, yellow and purple for the colour scheme, I think. And let's just start, maybe I'll do all of the flowers pink. Keep it simple. And just do the first layer wet on dry, so I've got a lot of control. I'm getting a little bit better with this brush. Okay, I'm going to try and leave the middle little head bit. What's that bit called on a flower? I don't know. I should know that. It's probably a basic knowledge, but I can't think of what it's called. Try and leave that white so that I could paint it maybe yellow. Get a little bit more water and a little bit more paint. Come up here. And just, this is the benefit of this big brush, it does it quite quickly. I'm not going really too detailed and trying to stay too close into the lines. I thought it's quite nice for you to hear maybe a little bit of the sound of the paintbrush on the page as well. That's why I'm silent. My page is a little bit patchy because I had put hand moisturiser on, which is naughty, but my hands are so dry, and so that can repel the paint a little bit, and I feel like that's what's happening on that one there. It's the thing with working with ceramics and watercolour is it's hard to keep your hands moisturised because the fat from the moisturiser really does not like or makes it hard for the paint or whatever to stay on. Anyway, okay, so flowers are done with their first layer. I'm going to go in with the green. Is this the green that gets funky on camera? I think it is, but anyway, we'll just try a little bit of it on a little bit of blue there. And then this green too. We're just going to have a little green medley going on, and then come on in. I haven't used too much water, so I should be able to paint next to the pink without it running too much. Well, the lines are a little bit confusing. I nearly just painted the space that I wasn't supposed to paint just then, but luckily I didn't. And come up here. What could have been a more time-effective way of painting this would be to paint the whole page in a yellow, for example, a colour that can fit quite nicely underneath all the other colours, and then just going in and painting on top of it with the details. But I chose to do it this way, so now I'm going to have to paint around all of these shapes when I do my background. But maybe I'll do instead then a kind of like patterned background and not paint the whole thing. Maybe. I can go over the little lines as well, because the little lines that connect the flowers are all going to be green too. Just keep it nice and simple. This one. Try and stay inside the lines, but it doesn't always work, but that's fine. I'm not looking for perfection, we're looking for experience. Okie dokie. That bit is done. And now what else did I say? Yellow and purple. Let's do yellow, purple, maybe a pink outline. Oh, it is that funky green. The funky green's doing its thing again. When will I ever learn? I won't. Right, let's do this purple. Getting a little bit of blue in there as well, because it's there. And we're just going to do these bits down here. My brush is very wet, so it's not ideal because I don't want it to run into the yellow eventually, so I'm going to just hope that it dries quickly. Although this paper is nice and absorbent, so it should do its job. Load up my brush a little bit more. It's making me want to buy myself some flowers now. I do appreciate flowers, you know. I'm a bit of a easy gift person. Get me flowers or anything cute, anything with a dog, anything related to a cute dog, and I'm like, love it. Or any well, I say any art materials, but I'm actually quite picky with art materials. But like a nice watercolour pencil or something, you can't go wrong, you know. I think that means I'm not fussy. I'm going to get my yellow. I'm going to get a bit of Naples yellow actually, because the cadmium's very loud, so I'm going to mix a little bit of the two. Quite like the idea of the more muted Naples yellow. And I think what I'll do, yeah, is I'll just go like squiggles, you know. What would be cool if I had loads of time would be to paint it all yellow first and then go in with a slightly darker yellow and do this design on top, but because I don't have that much time, I'm going to just do this. And it does the job. We'll see, I nearly went on the vase just then. Not concentrating today. Like that, and I'm also going to go in to the flowers, to the little, what are they called? What's the centre of a flower called? Am I an idiot for not knowing that? Be kind in the comments if I am. Just going in, adding a little bit more interest to the basic pink flowers. And now they're all kind of dry-ish, so I'm going to go in with the pink again, and with quite a dry brush I'm going to basically paint the inside a slightly darker version of the pink. So just going over the first layer with another layer, and it just kind of makes the picture look a little bit more interesting, a little bit more alive. Here too, I'll be a bit careful with that wet yellow, but I don't mind if it blends together because it's just a natural thing, isn't it? Flowers always have really interesting colour situations going on. Just steadying my arm here because my page is quite far away from me today. So I was trying to follow the light again, daylight, but the weather's been a bit weird in Berlin over the last week. It's kind of like great. I mean, it literally snowed the other day in April, and then it was just sunny. It's like, what's going on? No one knows how to dress or what to do. But yeah, the skies are grey today. Or right now at least, so I feel like it's a little bit dark, so I shoved everything closer to the window so that the natural light lights it up a little bit. Nearly finished with this bit. You see how that just makes like such a difference to how the flower looks. It looks way more like 3D in interesting. And it makes way more sense now. Like you can see the shape a lot better, I think anyway. I really like it. I'm going to do a pink border while we're doing pink. And you know, I might not do a black and white vase. I might leave it white. Just add some shadows on there because I think that black might be too offensive. Or maybe, I don't know. Maybe it will look cool and wacky and like in style. I don't know. I'll think about it as I do this. Oops, knocking into things. Let's see if I can paint this from this angle. I'm going a little bit out of the line. This thin border with the thin pen makes it a bit harder. Okay, let's turn it around. Make my life easier for myself, huh? This is the easiest way to come at it. It's funny because this subject, flowers in a vase, still life flowers, I often like push away from because I find, yeah, like when you're learning painting, it's often you're doing a still life, right? And that is super valuable because everybody knows, you know, you're aiming to get a likeness of a familiar object, which makes sense. But I find it personally quite boring. Like if I go into a bit of dust. If I go into a still life situation, I can only really concentrate for kind of 10-15 minutes before I start to hunt for something more interesting. And I know that's because I'm like experienced with painting and I want a challenge, but it is quite nice sometimes to come back to basics and play around with style then, you know, when you're painting flowers. You can paint something basic but in a cool or different interesting style. Like we could paint this same picture in 4 or 5 different ways and play around with what works for us. So I do kind of like that, and actually I think it's quite a successful picture. Ultimately it just kind of whipped out of my head. I have looked obviously at pictures of flowers as inspiration, but yeah, I quite like it. The only thing that I want to do now is the vase, so I don't know, would a black, shall we just go for it? Where's my black? Is that black? I haven't really used these colours yet, have I, on this new, rather old palette? So if we go black, white, black, white, black, or we go black, white, black, white, black. Well, I went over the line a little bit there, so maybe that would be better if it was black, white, black, white, black. Doesn't matter, Ness, you're overthinking it. Right, let's start with this one. Okay, she's started. I'm a professional overthinker, so sometimes I just have to like make a split-second decision. It's like if you go into a restaurant and ordering food, if I see something on the menu that I like, I'll be like, okay, I'm just going to not look at the rest of the menu. I actually do that because I know that if I look at the rest of the menu, I'll be like, oh, I could get that, or I could get that, and it'll take me ages to decide. So I know the strategy. As soon as I see the first thing that I'm like, yeah, I could have that, I will just stop reading. But then if there's someone else there that's indecisive and they're like, oh, I don't know, between this and this, that's when I'm like in trouble, because then I'm like, oh no, there's that. That sounds nice too, you know. Anyone else do that? Or is it just me? Same with like getting a cocktail. Cocktail menus, man. So much choice usually. And then nothing ever is as good as like the classics, I find. I've never had like a signature cocktail of like a bar that they've made up and thought like, this is amazing, this is so much better than a normal margarita. But you go in and you're like, oh yeah, I'll try something new. And then you're like, okay, it's fine, but like a normal margarita is the best. You can't beat it, so. I did have a gin sour the other day for the first time, which was quite nice. Although it made me really sleepy. I guess gin is a bit of a sleepy alcohol, isn't it? Anyway, the inner dialogue of me as I paint. Thinking about cocktails, and it's only Wednesday. Do we like it? Oh, it's kind of cool. I wish that I had an extra line here for the black, but because it feels a bit flat, so I kind of like need a shadow somehow. But maybe I could add like a bluey shadow, because usually I just use blue on a shadow of white. I really don't want to put too much blue though, so I'm dabbing my brush off. You see what I mean? To just make the vase pop a little bit. It's very subtle. I don't know if you can even see that one. Okay, that's less subtle. Can you even see that? And then also here, just a wee bit. Yeah, that's gonna do for today. We're at the 30-minute mark, and I'm pretty impressed with myself that I've been quite sustained. No, what's the word? Ness, why can't I talk? Sensible. You know what I mean. Haven't gone overboard. So I'll show you up close. Though the lighting's gone a little bit funky now. With our funky green. If I had more time, I would go back in and add more depth to the flowers and to the green leaves for sure, but the green is already being a bit weird on this camera. But generally, I'm pretty happy with that. I think, again, it's quite a cute little composition, so sehr gut. Yeah, there it is, our nice drawing, painting of our flowers. Gorgeous. I mean, can't really go wrong, I suppose. And in a way, I suppose it's nice to get a picture of flowers because they don't die and you can keep it forever. So I think it's a successful composition. I'm actually really happy with it, and I would continue working on it, I think, because I think it needs a little bit more like intricateness going on, if that's the word. But I hope that you enjoyed it. Let me know how you found it. As always, you can send pictures my way via Instagram. And thanks so much again for all your love on the last video. And I'm glad to see that you're really enjoying it. If you have any requests, by the way, on like themes or subjects that you'd be interested in learning step by step, then write them in the comments. And if not, then I will see you next week, and have a great week. Take care of yourselves and stay creative. Maybe that should be my new tagline. Okay, bye.